Hello everyone, welcome back to Dilkil Chess, and today I'm going to show you one of my recent games in which I got 100% accuracy on chess.com. So let's get started. I started with e4 and my opponent responds with e5. I develop the knight and put pressure on the e5 pawn, and my opponent responds with knight c6 and defends the pawn. I play the move bishop c4 and enters into my favorite opening, Italian game. The idea behind bishop c4 is pretty simple. I just want to attack weak f7 square because it is only protected by the king. And here black responds with bishop c5 and I just castle. Black develops the knight to f6, and here I strike in the center with d4 and enters into the max line attack territory with bishop c5 included. And this is one of the pretty standard move in chess for over 200 years. And in the Romantic era, so many players used to play early d4. Yes, they sacrifice a pawn, but in return they get quick development and they go for the initiative. And that's the exact thing I want to do in this game as well. And the best move for black here is to take this pawn with the bishop, but black takes this pawn with the knight, which is already a mistake because I can take this pawn on e5, and now I'm attacking the weak f7 square with the bishop and the knight as well. That's why black castle in this position. And here I play the move bishop e3, and now I'm attacking this knight with the bishop and the queen as well. That's why black has to respond to this move because he's defending this knight with the bishop only. That's why black goes for knight e6, and now he's defending this bishop with the knight. Now I cannot take this bishop because if I take this bishop, then he can just recapture it and material will be equal. That's why I cannot take this bishop first, but one thing I can do is I can remove this defender of the bishop. First I can take this knight. Now if he takes this bishop, then I can just recapture the bishop, and now the material is not equal. I'm up a piece. That's why in this position black did not take this bishop, instead he takes dark square bishop. And again, if I take this bishop, then he can take this bishop and the material is equal again. That's why first I did not take this bishop, instead I take the f7 pawn with check. Now since it's a check, that's why black has to respond to this. If he goes to king h8, then I can just take this bishop and I will be up a piece. That's why black did not go for king h8, instead he takes the bishop on f7. And now if I take this bishop, we will just move this rook and the material will be equal, but in fact I will just be up a pawn. That's why I did not take this bishop, instead I take the rook on f7 and attacks his queen. Now I am attacking his queen, that's why he cannot move this bishop because he will lose the queen. That's why black takes my knight. Now I take this bishop and open up the f5. Now this knight is pinned and I am threatening e5, which will win the knight. That's why black goes for king g8 and breaks the pin, but I can force e5 anyway and attack his knight, and anywhere knight goes, queen d5 check is coming. That will be disaster for black. Black will be losing in this position completely. In fact, black puts his knight on the d5 square, exact square where I want to put my queen, and he just blundered a piece in one move. I take the knight with check, and black resign in this position, and I won a perfect game of chess in just 13 moves. And that's how, ladies and gentlemen, I get 100% accuracy on chess.com. And thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.